It's not necessarily that the VC is having the ability or can open doors for you or guide you, whatever. But if they can do it, but if they can help you to open doors, why not?
You talk to so many first-time founders, right? Young founders, first-time founders. Now, if there is some kid who wants to become a founder or just starting out, where do you think most first-time Indian founders get it wrong?
What advice would you give to a founder who's in that situation where his company is not growing fast enough and he's got 150 employees, he's not growing fast enough, he's still a stretch away from getting that next VC check? Good afternoon, everybody. It's of immense pleasure that I have to welcome one of the rock star celebrities in the startup ecosystem. Vijetha, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Pushkar and me are absolutely glad to have you here.
It's an honor for me. Thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you, Pushkar.
I think this is, you talk about superconductors and mega conductors. I think there's one level above that, and that is Vijetha's level.
Oh my God.
But
That's a scary thing to say, yeah?
Lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
What got you into this space and what got you to become this humongous startup enabler, conductor over the last decade and a half? If you were to get some insights on that path, it will be absolutely brilliant.
Perfect. Thank you. That's a very interesting question. So I had to actually rack my brains and go back. But see, I've come from hotels, retail, pre-LinkedIn, pre-social media, pre-whatever. I mean, my first smartphone was a BlackBerry. I don't even know if people have heard about it now. But what happened was, it was a pathway. And I should be grateful to all my mentors, actually. So when I was, they say 12, 15 years back, and it started with TIE and Head Start. So for those who don't know, Head Start is a volunteer-driven organization. They've got about 25 odd chapters all over. You have been to some of the activities all across. So it started Head Start as a volunteer, and then TIE Bangalore again as a volunteer, then a member. So it started with these two, and then a lot of folks used to approach me to do events, community activities, workshops, that kind of stuff. They said, look, you're a senior person, which means old guy, whatever.
No, we disagree.
Less people will say no to you.
Okay.
So if you write to an investor and say something is happening, out of consideration and out of politeness, they'll say, okay, we'll turn up. If you write to a founder, or if you write to say a NASSCOM and say, like, give us the space to do an activity, they will not say no. So keeping that in mind, I think that's why I got involved in a lot of companies, a lot of organizations, and started doing that. And then what happened was, the NASSCOM guy said, hey, why don't you come with us, the Center of Excellence. They had started something on IoT, hardware, data science, AI.
This is during the 10,000 startups period?
Yes. So NASSCOM for startups,
Sure,
10,000 startups. And you had all these industry bodies, and I tried to keep it as crisp as possible. And because of NASSCOM, then some of the TIE guys where we used to do a lot of events, a lot of community activities, collaborations. They said, can you become our executive director? Because we know you as a volunteer, as a member. We have seen your photographs 10 years back. And we said, okay, this guy's been around for some time. Come for a couple of years, 3 years, whatever it is, and work with us as executive director and support the ecosystem. So in parallel, Head Start and TIE Bangalore, then NASSCOM, and then co-working space. I used to do a lot of work with Bhive. Started with Bhive, and then of course WeWork came in, Office came in. So they were all friends.
We are
and
immensely grateful for Bhive.
Yes, we are sitting
Absolutely,
here.
they're brilliant spaces.
So Shesh and Ravindra, if you remember, Sandeep, they used to have these bungalows.
Yeah, I remember.
Koramangala,
HSR.
Yes,
I'm talking about 2016, 17
time
time
this
period.
first started. They were like, they had a space of 50 people, so we used to do events over there.
Got it.
And only standing room space and all that stuff. So I think it started with that. Yeah. But obviously, it's not just about the events. Sure. Then I understood that startups need a lot of support. And very honestly, very frankly, I'm in a position of influence and responsibility. Can we do something for these guys? Can we bring the ecosystems together? Can we bring more incubators, accelerators? The smaller VCs started with, and then, get some good quality founders to be mentors. So I think that was a journey. And Sandeep, you've also been involved. Pushkar, you have been an investor. It works that way, right? You give a little, and then it comes back. Not doing
playing it forward.
Yes, paying it forward and stuff like that. So I think I've been lucky. My mentors were extremely kind. There were a lot of doors got opened for me. Your story, guys, used to be very friendly. They said, we're doing an event. You come. Just come, just observe, just be with us, have a drink, that was important, and meet whoever you want. So then I really got into the groove, and I used to help people. That's what they say. And I guess that's what has kept me going for all this time, Sandeep.
So, what drives you to do this? Do you really enjoy talking to founders?
I do.
What is the best part of this
I
job?
think without passion, he could
Yeah,
not
it
have
is- it is-
sustained.
it is a passion.
Like I see Vijetha going to events, and there are like 98% of the people know him, and he gives
So who are
time
the other
to
two?
everybody.
Who are the 2% that don't know?
I don't know. They don't know me. I don't know them.
The 98% is really not true.
90% plus.
But how it matters is you have to have a little bit of empathy also. See, look, we have all been through situations. We have all, when I've also helped a lot of founders, worked with founders, been part of, teams. And it's a very tough, lonely journey, whatever you say, number one. So that empathy factor comes in, and just open a couple of doors, not for the sake of doing it, not that they will do something for you or you expect to get something back, but do it genuinely and guide them a little bit here and there, and then you don't have to break your head too much because they'll find their way. The only request I make to all these people when they come back and say, hey, this worked for me, I say, boss, help other people.
Yes.
Because we build a community, we build an ecosystem, right? So I worked with the investment bank, I've worked with a Standard Chartered bank. It was all about that, right? Build partnerships, build community, help people, and learn a lot. See, I don't know tech really so well, but when you do this very committed and smart founders.
That's news to me. I think you know a lot of
I mean, I'm learning, I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah.
learning. So part of the deal that I have in the last 6 months to 1 year with a lot of the founders and well-run companies, they teach. So they say, we are preparing this, we are doing some sales calls, whatever, sit with us. So that you understand how we approach, how we open the conversation, how we talk about what will this tech do for you,
Sure.
what are the benefits. So I'm learning a lot and help the founders because, one thing, Sandeep and Pushkar, that India and mostly Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, we were at Huddle.
We were at Huddle,
Right, and we were
yes.
talking about it.
It's a brilliant
People are coming
show,
together.
yeah.
People are really trying.
Yeah.
So I think we are in a great space. People are genuinely trying to help. Are there bad apples? Of course, there are bad apples. Let us be also blunt about
Yeah.
it. Identify those people so that they don't create a problem for the ecosystem and community. And that also is a skill set that I have built. But open a few doors, make a few warm connections. And whenever we meet, I say, no, I want to make the circle bigger. That's my famous, can I make the circle bigger? Can I introduce a couple more founders? Can I bring in this micro VC? By the way, it's a great accelerator and they're doing some amazing stuff for founders in this specific, I know this. I do a little bit of research work also so that I can open the doors. But I love doing it, boss. Passion is there.
Pushkar, what that means is you need to be spending a lot more time in Bangalore and not be in Patna all the time.
No.
But
We'll come to Patna.
We'll come to Patna.
Tell us what we should
Figure
do
out,
for
yeah.
you in Patna and cross bridges. Patna, Bangalore, we'll bring them together.
So, before I defer to you, you think that that path that founders take has become a lot easier in the last 10 years?
Of course,
I mean,
of
like,
course.
that 2014, 15, of course, it is not just the money path because there have been funding cycles all throughout in the last 10, 15 years.
Correct.
But has that path to building
course.
a decent company, has it become a lot easier?
Much easier. We should give a shout out again to certain organizations within the government also. Kerala Startup Mission, the Karnataka state government also does. They have this incredible Elevate program which has supported, I think, more than 200
And
odd,
state funds like
state
Kitwen
funds.
and
Yes.
yeah, some fund
Tamil
of
Nadu
funds.
does it
Yeah,
well.
Tamil Nadu does it well.
The Startup Odisha team is there. Maharashtra has their own innovation team. Plus what Singh does, which is part of the IIT Bombay.
So
And-
I was associated with Singh when I was in business school
Amazing.
in 2005.
Yes, so you know
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Sandeep, I think a lot of the operator VCs are also like mentors.
Sure.
They're willing to support some early stage startups. Even if they can't fund them, no problem. At least they'll guide them. They'll open a couple of doors. And also the consulates, few cities, not everywhere, but I think Bangalore, the consulates are amazing. They're looking for great companies. They're bringing delegations, especially during Bangalore Tech Summit and now the Thai Global Summit that's
I
happening in
remember
Bangalore.
London and Partners bigger.
London and Partners, Divya Bajaj.
Even Jitex,
Yes.
Divya
They're
and team.
taken, yes, they're
big
taken people.
delegation, yeah.
So these collusions, one word that one of my very close friends called Derek, he remember his story, right? He was a founder of Flutura and they were winning a lot of deals against a big company like Accenture. They came into the attention of Accenture and now they were bought over, right? And obviously they're 100 odd employees, the founders are very well settled and now they're working very hard and they're making even more money. But you see that ability to make things happen, good positive things, the mentoring, the funding support, the grants, the IP, the other stakeholders like lawyers and chartered accountants, company secretaries, that's what brings people together. A lot of round tables, a lot of these collusions that happen. When I used to work with Dexter Capital, we used to do a lot of these events and tournaments.
Sure.
We
We were
about
talking about the pickleball tournament
and there's a
and how
14
pickleball-
December, they're doing something on badminton once again. So I think these kind of things really add value. There are very passionate and committed people in these industries and in these VCs, whatever, who are not just doing it for the money. Money is
Yeah.
important. It is the fountainhead. It is which
Sure,
is very
sure.
critical, but they care. And
Sure.
I think we should help those kind of guys also to do well in life.
And I think the quality of people that you measure through sporting activity is also very high, right?
Oh, yeah.
When
Oh,
you
yeah.
have people who do team sports, and for a fact that my buddies at Indigo Edge, they used to have football matches
Football, yes,
to
yes.
figure out who's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
team
Oh,
player
yeah.
or not. But that's a great way to actually, you know the dynamics, know
Correct,
how
correct.
well that person.
And it actually is great bonding.
It's a great bonding exercise,
bonding.
right?
So when I was at Bhive, we used to do a lot of these football tournaments. We used to go and play frisbee. Now it is stopped, unfortunately. You
the
can't.
ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, ultimate frisbee. And also you could go to Kaban Park, and in certain areas you could play. Now because people were getting injured, whatever, they stopped. And I also organize on Sundays when the weather is good, a Sunday morning walk. Open
Nice,
to all.
nice.
Right? So that way, why I'm saying this is lots more people are doing it. We must encourage the community and ecosystem activities and do more. Why not? It'll pay you back. Just
Sure.
in case.
Sure.
Well, I was just wondering because you talk to so many first-time founders, right? Young founders, first-time founders. Now, if there is some kid who wants to become a founder or just starting out, where do you think most first-time Indian founders get it wrong? What are they doing it incorrectly? Like, of course, like on an average. And what advice would you have for them?
See, Pushkar.
Apart from meeting you late.
No, not that way. See, let's be very fundamentally clear. It's not just a glamour aspect. You guys, your operator VCs, you'll understand this. It is a very tough and lowly journey, number one. Number two is, if you don't understand it as a business, right? I mean, the complexity of business, unfortunately, the financial structuring, the legalities, understanding regulation, knowing your customers really well, knowing what is possible and everything. If you don't have that, you may have all the passion and understanding of what can be possible. You will make a mistake. There will be no one to tell you that you're making a mistake. There will be no one to guide you as a mentor. So choosing the right mentors, exposing yourself to a business, doing some shadowing, working with some CTO, CIO, CMO, whatever, just to understand how business runs. How do you deal with customers? How do you do hiring? What is the paperwork? What is IP? If you don't do that, it's very dangerous for a founder. I'm not even talking about now corporate governance or due diligence
Sure,
or whatever.
sure.
That will come at some point of time.
Sure.
So the founder's passion is good, but what we should also tell these youngsters was learn it as a business. No one can tell you what to do in terms of technology or whatever. You're smart guys, right? No one is questioning that. But it's a business. If you make a mistake, you deal with the wrong people, you sign the wrong contracts, etc., and you know how difficult sometimes it is to collect money.
So you're mostly talking about the actual nitty-gritty of running a business,
yes.
and not just
Absolutely,
the tech or
absolutely.
raising money or the hoopla around that.
Correct.
But how do you manage all of these things?
Exactly.
And very interesting.
Because otherwise you go and get it wrong. No, it's not about just I ran out of funding or I was too early or my customers didn't pay me. Why did that happen? So you have to be careful. And look, it's also unfortunately there is a little bit of stigma attached to this, that you could have worked somewhere, but you started a company, you didn't even know what you were doing. So it brings the
So you think that first-time founders should ideally work for somebody else, gain some amount of experience,
and
before...
be very upfront that we are going to work for you because we want to start something on our own. I mean, I know so many founders who did that, and they actually got backing and investments from the people that they work with.
Sure.
Right? So think about it. Isn't that a great scenario?
Sure.
But of course, you have to protect your ideas, you have to protect your IP, you have to protect your first hiree, your first customers. That you must do, because it's a business.
Sure.
Right.
It's not about the glamour part of it. Right? I mean, would you invest in someone who has no clue how to run a business? You would get very nervous because paisa doob jayega types. Okay, or and you don't want to see them fail.
Yeah.
I mean, we have seen so many mature companies, mature startups floundering because the founders couldn't manage the ecosystem. I mean, I'm not being preachy over here, but I think it makes sense to learn a little bit about business. And regulatory frameworks keep changing, no? Karnataka is different.
Yeah.
Bengal is different, Delhi is different, Bombay is different.
Tax, legal, all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And where to start, where to get incubated, what are the pros and cons. Maybe that it's happening, please. I'm not saying it's not happening, but sometimes they miss that right decisions or the smart decisions or informed decisions, if I may say so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's actually very, very insightful. So you have seen obviously the cycles of funding excess and then funding winters. Whenever you've had this funding excess, or rather when you thought is excess, what were you praying for the VCs and what were you praying for the founders?
So I've been part of the various sides.
You played the different sides, right?
Yes. So I think from the VC angle, look, they have to make their money. They need to return the money back to their LPs. They have to give them and they have to get a good carry, etc. They want to then raise, cycle.
The next fund.
Yeah, the next fund. So it's important for them that they're look, but there was a lot of crazy stuff that was happening. And the pandemic especially during pandemic, and unfortunately we also know what happened to some of these companies. no one is going to be blamed for this because that is what the life is all about. In fact, let's talk about some of the companies or platforms that we used to use. We used to use Zoom a lot, and then Zoom's evaluation came
Zoom's,
down because Microsoft Teams and Google Meet and whatever got Cisco WebEx got very much better.
Yeah.
So suddenly,
And enterprise level, they just got little, yeah.
they were not so good. We used to struggle, but then Zoom was the best.
Yeah.
But then things changed.
Well, even for that matter, AWS is facing the heat.
Correct.
Because
correct.
at enterprise level, Azure is
Right.
doing well.
It's
And
catching
Google
up.
Cloud
ChatGPT is there fighting against Gemini and whatever it is. Right? So you'll have a lot of things happening. See, for the founders, what is important is that they should keep. Look, it's a journey, I mean, they might be that time they would have been in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, but they have to live a longer life. And many times they did the wrong investments, they did the wrong hiring, and they lost the money. So they also didn't make any money. Because ultimately, you're doing this because it is passion, but you are committed to your family, you're committed to your early hires, to your co-founders. A lot of them went into depression.
Yeah.
So I think that support mechanism is required both times. When you're doing really well, to keep you grounded, and when you're not doing so well, to get you out of that rut and say like, boss, this happens to everyone. It's not just you, but a lot of other people, and you're a bad person. And now there is a pathway.
And it will change.
It will change.
The curve will change, whether it's on the up or the down.
Those curves
Very
change.
interesting you
so
said
that maturity and understanding that, like, when you go up, you're going to come down.
Yeah.
We all will die one day.
Yeah.
And we'll all fall sick and whatever it is. So you've got to be ready for both. So that's where the maturity and the training. You have to train your mind, you have to train your body, you have to train your soul, very honestly.
And you've had to unlearn quite a bit, right? Based on all the...
Still. Top secret. And still learning hell of a lot. But yes, I should say that I have mentors who guide me, and they're hidden mentors in a sense that they say like, yeah, if we say you're a mentor, we'll get abused. Like, how can? But I said, no, you must teach me. So they teach me different nuances. It could be on sales. So I have a few folks who teach me on sales. I have people who are teaching me tech. I have people who are teaching me how to build my own way of communicating, make it better. Because I'm on a public forum many times.
Sure, yeah.
So it's a responsibility. I should not do something stupid. And I get battered at home as well. She's saying, you say the same things. Change, learn, read, do more research work. So why not? We should do it. I'll do it.
I absolutely have to ask you this this question. I kind of quite think that I have a very high Dunbar coefficient. Dunbar coefficient is something that Reid Hoffman, who founded LinkedIn, talks about.
Yes.
Right, in terms of the number of connections that you have and the number of connections you actively engage in. But I think your Dunbar coefficient is like 2 levels higher than mine. Were you always a relationship person when you started off throughout your career?
So see, hotels, remember that time there was no social media, there was no nothing, whatever. So when I was in F&B and I worked with Taj, one of the fantastic training grounds. Also, I was selected because of whatever reasons. I knew multiple languages. I could speak Kannada, I could speak Hindi, I could speak English. I was put into the trainer kind of
Got it.
Okay. Then I was put into opening of restaurants and hotels.
Wow.
So I've traveled, right?
Nice.
I've had this incredible, of course, hotels. We used to work 18 hours, 20 hours a day.
It's a brutal job.
Yeah, very brutal, very tough. But you have to talk to teams, you have to talk to customers, you have to talk to kitchen. I'm in service, but I have to talk to housekeeping, I have to talk to the kitchen guys. Cross-functional. So then you have to know, man, you have to know how to deal with these guys, deal with egos, deal with challenges and problems, things going wrong totally. And then when I moved, like in hotels, they used to say, boss, you have to hold attention of people. Many times single solo travelers are there, they want to know about the city. If you don't know anything, then you can't pull. You can't keep them engaged with you, and it's very important. Then it was also about, that time there was no social media, LinkedIn profile. I know this was really weird, but in the back of the restaurants or lobby or whatever, you'll say that these are the top 20 customers, their designation, this, that.
Wow.
Is to be actually out there and you have to mug that up. That was a morning briefing. Okay, that this is the customer who's coming, this is their preferences, this is the wine they drink. Yeah,
wow.
I know. This is the kind of room they want. Look, they're paying a lot of money. So you have to really take care of them. And these are all high flyers, corporates, and you want to keep them. So it was important to engage with them. So you have to become, conversationalist, right? You have to, they're rich people, they're busy people, but you should be able to talk to them. Then I joined Barista and, all these companies, Metro Cash and Carry. So there also you have to deal with customers. Okay, the hoteliers, they were not my customers, the hoteliers, the restaurants, the caterers, the people who run large organizations and whatever. So you have to talk to them. You have to understand their preferences. So we again forced, a little bit of forcing. You have to study, you have to read, you have to know.
Sure.
You have to know the background.
It's a lot of attention to detail. I mean, a lot of people think that you're a networker, you go in and you meet everybody, whatever. But it's a lot of
research work,
attention to
research
detail,
work.
all
Yes,
of that,
yes,
right?
yes. And then of course I was with a co-working space, so you meet a lot of people.
Sure.
The task was to build a community, keep them engaged. The stickiness factor that people talk about. So you have to, and it doesn't happen. I mean, you have to build on it, right? Then co-working, then NASCOM.
And you were talking about co-working, where co-working was not
really.
mainstream
Yeah,
as
it
yet.
was not. WeWork had not yet come in.
Yeah, WeWork had not
Office
come
was
in.
not there. And whatever the big indicators.
And how were you able to attract people into co-works at that particular point in time?
See, I think we used to use WhatsApp groups were just started that time, but it was mostly email. You had to do a lot of email. You had to put things on LinkedIn and LinkedIn groups and Facebook. Facebook was massive.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
I still have a little bit cringeworthy, but no, my old Facebook lives and all that. I think like, "Bhai, ye kya hai?" And then Instagram happened.
Sure.
And look, now it is like, my God, yeah, the StreamYard is there. This is there. So much stuff
Too
is
many
happening.
channels, right?
Too many channels, lot of content, but look, that it is still the right way to, if you can make it very, I mean, how you guys are doing it, incredible stuff, by the way, congratulations. You're keeping it feature rich in terms of the, the way that people can interact, engage, learn. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, I think the reason that the three of us have gravitated to each other and I've interacted with Pushkar for a while and I've known you for several years is that I think we care about delivering value.
Yes.
And
yes.
the right audience, you're able to deliver value. And we also believe that it is paying it forward.
Correct.
It's
Yeah, it
like,
is, it is, 100%.
Rose ka roti ka dhanda hai, but
Haji.
you pay it forward and
Absolutely.
at some level it comes back to you.
I mean, I can, with so many stories, I'm thinking back, someone I helped, not really realizing who they are.
Sure.
And suddenly those doors open. I helped someone who came down from Malaysia. They were struggling with some appointments, some meetings and all that. I said, no problem, man, come over. I'll spend some time with you. Then they said, okay, next week there's a delegation coming. Why don't you go for dinner? I said, okay. Why not? What's the problem? I'll go for dinner. Then he said, can you help them with this? I said, okay, done. Then I find out I'm sitting next to the ministers. Right? I didn't even know. Next thing I know, I'm getting an invite. They're saying, dude, come. So I didn't believe them. I said like, oh, visa will take a long time. They said like, we are inviting you.
No, we are inviting you. The visa is tomorrow.
Man.
It's
What's
tomorrow.
wrong with you?
Tomorrow.
We'll get it. I actually told on stage in front of 500 people that this guy was questioning us whether we'll get this visa on time. So you got a visa on time. I said, yeah, I got a visa.
Let's move on to the next topic.
Let's move to the next topic. And I got to attend a lot of wonderful conferences at different.
You believe in serendipity a lot, right? I mean, the reason that you're sitting here, I mean, like, serendipity is
exactly.
a big thing, right?
And we spent quality time at our events. We met him for the first time in Huddle. And we had a great panel discussion where you all were very kind to me as a moderator. So I appreciate all the small things, but I really appreciate it and I acknowledge such things.
So I was just wondering because, see, a lot of founders, what they get it wrong is when they're starting out, they get so much bad advice, right? Because advice is like...
But how do you differentiate it, Pushkar? That's where the challenge is.
That's what I wanted to know. Like, is there any way for founders to say, is this a good advice? Or maybe for a young founder starting its first company, does it make sense to join an accelerator?
It does.
Or an incubator?
Yeah,
and then how do you find the right accelerator?
Okay. So let's be very clear, right? Like, I mean, the statistics will come out that hardly any of the so-called Sunicorns or unicorns or whatever come from
came out of an accelerator.
Have come out of accelerator incubator. But that's not the point here. If you want to learn through them, like the legal aspects, the financial aspects, like, get some technology mentoring, you'll get a lot of the technology inputs. So if you're part of a good quality incubator accelerator, you want AWS credits, you want all that kind of help and support, you'll get it. So again, it's a wisdom of the founder to absorb. They have to absorb.
Yeah.
Right? They and their team and whoever their thing has to absorb the knowledge. But then how do you make a wise decision? It's not easy. And sometimes that at that point of time, that have been the best decision, but things change. Who knew what would happen to us in terms of pandemic?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to differentiate, but how do you make them wise? Because they're smart people. And sometimes this smartness can actually be very dangerous. We all think, oh, we know everything. And it's happened to me also. I said, I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, what nonsense. And suddenly I make a stupid decision. And without realizing it. Or even maybe it was a correct decision then, but I could not pivot or I couldn't handle the repercussions or something changed.
Right.
So I think, Pushkar, it's a very valid question, what you're saying. Difficult to answer it, but I think what sometimes, they should not jump into a decision and do something immediately. Just take a step back.
So somewhere in between, right?
Yeah.
Not jumping into a decision too quickly or not talking to way too many people, which will kind of cloud your decision.
And what you want is an outcome. I want to learn about a term sheet. I'm just talking basics now.
Right.
I want to know that I don't make a mistake when I sign up some contract. Or how do I do the hiring right? Or how do I choose the right incubator or accelerator? Where do I register my company?
Yeah.
because there are just 5-6 states which are giving you tremendous value.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
and then, but I think if they really are careful and smart, they register for DPIT, they register for some of the workshops, they go to the NASCOM, they can see now many of these places you can become a virtual incubator also. You don't necessarily
You
have
don't have to physically relocate
yes,
there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absorb the knowledge, build your product, talk to lots of customers. But again, about customers, Pushkar, if they're not going to pay you on time, they're not going to pay you at all, or they're going to, not give you profits, choose not to work with these people. Not that they're bad people, but you're going to die. You're going to struggle. So this wisdom is not easy. Sometimes it comes a hard way.
You're
And
bound to make mistakes.
you will be.
Some mistakes
have to,
you just
have to.
recover very fast.
But then being a resilient founder and having the self-awareness that, okay, maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe I should step back. Maybe I'm missing this opportunity. Right? So that comes through time, and many of them are very young. But if any way that we can contribute and say, like, boss, have you thought about this? Do you think that this is the right outcome that you want? As long as you have that framework, right, then maybe your decision making will be slightly better. But then you have to get them those frameworks and they have to listen to it. But
Yeah.
let's do whatever we can.
Yeah.
I promise to share more of your episodes.
No, so similarly, venture capital in India has gone through a lot of cycles from say late 2009-10 to what it is right now. I think you see a lot more. Do you see a lot more operator VCs, or do you see a lot more VCs willing to roll up their sleeves and actually help execute, or their
Sure.
platform teams and all that?
Done. So Sandeep, of course, it's a thin line. I know that you're an operator VC. So just imagine that founder, you're doing this for them because it's your money. You also have to protect that money, and you also want to see them grow. When do they see you as, oh, I'm getting too much of pressure, I'm under too much of stress, he's telling me things that are not with my core values. So all this friction and issues will come up. As long as they're aware that this is the way you will operate, and this is the kind of expectations you have, this is the kind of MIS that I have to create, I think there'll be a much better bonding.
Sync. Yeah.
Number one. Number two is that you care for them, right? You want to see them grow. You want to make sure that their corporate governance, due diligence, paperwork is sorted. They're hiring the right people. They're not wasting money. I mean, sometimes, the unnecessary wastage happens, and then when it really is required, you don't have money. Okay, you spend too much on interiors of your office or whatever. Not a bad thing. We should live comfortably. They should take salaries. They should have a work-life balance. But when is that fine line that this is too much? Try to cut down here, because you need this money to, say, travel, or to open up more doors, etc., or to hire some good people. So there will be in India, touch wood, we are still small in terms of size compared to whatever it is, but there's a lot of maturity and evolution that's happening. There are a lot of funds which unfortunately are not going to survive because of whatever reasons. The companies are not doing well, they're not able to raise fresh money, and regulations also, right? I think by the sixth
Only
or seventh
correction
year,
is I'm more an operator, investor.
Investor.
Not institutional money.
Exactly.
But,
But you work very closely with founders.
Yeah, but I understand where you're getting at.
Yeah.
That it is evolving.
Yes.
Like founder journey is evolving. You're saying that the investor journey also is evolving, because the market is very
Many of
dynamic.
the founders now that I'm meeting are in their 40s or early 50s. They have solid experience, understanding deep tech, everything is solid. They understand business, and they're not trying to be a unicorn. And they've already sorted out their first few customers, first few investors, which usually is the people that they work with, right? And then they're also clear that after a few years, we can't expand. We are okay to get acquired.
Yeah, just
So
sell.
they have a roadmap, and they'll work hard, and they're not flamboyant. They're very silent. They're very clear. They want, and why not? Yeah? I mean, that maturity is there also. So the things are evolving. Things are changing for good.
You get a lot of requests from founders in terms of advice of raising capital.
Right. So just wanted to pick your brain, since you have also spoken to thousands of founders. Do you think, is there any good time to raise your first round, or there's no good time? It's very subjective.
Yeah, it is very subjective. See, customer money and grants is great money to have, because then your cap table is cleaner, and you are in a position of strength to I'm talking about from a founder point of view.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. Number two is, but if you really want to grow and you want to expand, getting the right money, the smart money is important. Don't give away too much. Number one, and see, what if there's a downturn? You may be a great organization, great founder, really doing well, but there's a sentimentally, it is slightly down, and because of that, you're not able to raise money, and you're getting stuck. Like, you need to build this product, you need to bring in more features or benefits, but you need money to build that, because it's expensive, right? Talent is expensive. So always be on the lookout for money. If it's the right time or wrong time is not really important. But what matters is, if you have a maturity of understanding your product and technology and your customer roadmap, and you know that at 6 months from now, if I don't have this kind of money, I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Then you should know it. Am I going to get from grants? Am I able to raise from family friends? Do I have internal money which I can capitalize, or do I need to go to VC? And this takes time, no? I mean, if you get into this argument about this certain clauses, anti-dilution and this and that, it's going to take a lot of time. But you need the money. You need to build a product. And if you are going to be a US or European-centric company where you have to get customers from there and you have to travel, who's going to negotiate with the VCs? Who's going to negotiate to build, the product? So you got to be careful on that. So Pushkar, difficult to answer that is the right time or wrong time. I think what also matters is what stage do you need the money, and you have to be very, very honest to yourself that if I don't have this kind of balances at so and so time, I'm in trouble. And what if my customer delays? If that happens,
So you're talking about the whole planning conundrum when we talk about where you say the amount of money that you need, multiply that by 3, the amount of time that it takes.
Yes. And anything can go wrong, no? I mean,
anything can go wrong.
Can get shrunk anytime. Customers not paying you on time, or suddenly you don't have enough talent to build a certain feature and you have to hire them. They don't come cheap. The best of talent is you have to pay them a fair value. Yeah, so it doesn't make sense, Pushkar. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And one more thing, you talk about smart money, and since you connect so many founders to so many VCs, do you tell them something that, hey, of course there is one money, but what extra should they seek in an investor?
Yes, see, it's not necessarily that the VC is having the ability or can open doors for you or guide you, whatever, but if they can do it, and you don't only be beholden only to them, because that's also a danger point. And remember, on the cap table, there are multiple VCs. No, it won't be just one person coming. It'll be a lead investor. There'll be 2-3 other people coming. There could be some ultra HNI angels also coming. So different people have different mindsets. Okay, and but if they can help you to open doors, why not? And also, I think it's important that 2 things that you should also do. Do a little bit of research work. Who are these guys? Who are the other founders in the portfolio?
Yeah, their other portfolio.
They should talk to them and say, like, how does it work? And set the expectation, like how you are doing it, right? As an operator, you say XYZ times, say once a month or something. This is the format. I need this information. We need to have a call. And if I'm seeing certain things that is going not to right, because you'll also be helping them to raise the next round. You're opening doors for them. So your reputation also as an investor matters, right? You open the right doors to the wrong people and they mess it up.
Yeah.
And see, not everyone is gullible or I'm never saying that, but you got to be careful. So smart money is also, and not every VC, they say, boss, I'm giving you money. We know that you can run the company. You come to us
if you're
getting stuck. Or you see, this is the networks that we have. Do you think any of these people would be of value to you? Do you want us to do a warm introduction? We'll do it for you. Okay? And I think a lot of these funds, VCs and all, they're also doing a lot of workshops. They do get-togethers. They do these mixers where they bring in a lot of other people who could be of value. I think that's fair. I go to a lot of these places.
I think so. I think it kind of the rationale, whatever you said, right? It rings a very strong chord, because when I meet with a lot of founders, I kind of advise them that if I might not put money into you, we might be helping you in certain stack of the marketing or whatever, but I think what you need to think as a founder is be very transparent and upfront. Don't just go when you're running out of money or you're facing a bad situation. Preempt that ideally.
Then you're desperate, you make mistakes.
That is what you would tell your portfolio companies as well, right? So come early and then we can figure out the best possible solution. There's not one solution, multiple solutions, but bring the problem to the table. But we can sit and openly talk.
Don't hide it.
And nobody's judging.
If it means that you're getting stressed and if you're not able to handle pressure, you should tell, look, I'm having a little bit of, not meltdown, but I need to take it a little bit,
you talked about mental health of founders.
Mental health. It's a very important.
And you need, ye to goda hai jo.
You need to that.
You need to take care of them also, right?
Because if I were to just step back here, guys, I mean, the VC business is also a very tough business.
It is very tough.
It's a very tough and brutal business because you're making 25, 30 bets and you hope that 2 or 3 bets become like 50x, 100x, right? So you don't really double down on the guys who are lagging that curve. And I mean, as an operator, I always feel that if I put money into a company, it could be 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. I've written it off when I've put that money in, right? So it's a very different mindset and that will stress founders off as well, right? Because, okay, I'm not growing at 2.5x every year. I'm not going venture growth. I'm growing at 30-40%, which is not bad. But that doesn't warrant me to raise that Series A, Series B. But there is a lot of pressure because I want to be in that top 10 percentile of companies in that portfolio so that these guys will push me to get the next money. So,
I mean, very honestly, Sandeep and Pushkar, there are 2-3 things. I mean, I won't names, but I'll tell you, if you see a lot of the VCs, many of their partners have moved out.
sure.
And they're setting up their own funds or whatever it is. That's number one, that's happening. Number two, I know a lot of my friends who are in the VC world, very stressful. Why? Because some of their portfolio, like you said 4-5 will do well,
Sure,
but
sure.
they're not able to raise the next round of funds.
Yes.
They're not able to get the next round of customers who are paying them on time and profitably. So can you imagine what they're going through?
Yeah.
So it's a very delicate and tough situation.
Right.
Outside world may look very glamorous, but
Sure.
we know what the stress levels are in those world also. And why I'm talking about that is you can make mistakes. There
You always make mistakes.
Yeah, and there could be little bit of ego clashes happening and stuff like that. So one has to watch out for it because the founder also gets totally crushed. They may be good people. It's a bad phase, and time flies, and you will be coming out of it. But if you're not able to survive that period, the tough, dark period,
Valley of death.
yeah, the value
Typically
of death.
the valley of death is what
That's
you
and then
term
you
it.
should be resilient and aware that okay, I'm in a situation, but if I manage the situation, I bring the people together, I tell the team, and take help and support from everyone, the right support and from the right people, you will come out of it.
Sure, sure. What advice would you give to a founder who's in that situation where his company is not growing fast enough? And he's got 50, 100, 150 employees. He's not growing fast enough. He's still a stretch away from getting that next VC check. What advice would you give somebody like
Yeah,
that?
so this is very personal for the founder, and at times it might be a little bit tough. I mean, we have read about headlines coming out that you laid off people, but you have so much of money in the bank. What about the poor employee?
Right.
How do you handle that? No one is wrong here. No one is right. No one is wrong.
And you also sponsor the FIFA World Cup as well.
Yes,
in
exactly.
Some situations.
Yeah. So basically, where are you utilizing your money, man? Where is your humanity? Where is your empathy for people? So that is one aspect of it. But if you're talking about the fact that you know that this is going to happen, you got to be a little bit generous when you're severing people also. Okay, one question is that do the upper level guys take a salary cut so you can increase the runway and you can help these people? Next is, can you give them that 1-2 months or 3 months at least?
A bridge.
Bridge
or something
and,
like that.
and also some companies say, okay, health insurance, we'll keep paying for it. Because that's a danger zone, right? You don't have money and then and it always will happen. That's when the calamities of life and illness, right? It's normal, it's human life is that
Murphy's
way.
Law.
Yeah, Murphy's Law.
Murphy's
When
Law
you're
will
in-
happen.
And it's like this, when you're down and out is when everything will
Snowball.
hammer you from, always. So, so that empathy, that thinking, and then a lot of people have actually set up, and they should plan for this well in advance, right? You know this is going to happen. So they create a library of resumes. They reach out to more people, founders. See, and this is, you have to work. It may not help your company, very honestly. Okay, but then it's a right way to do it, and you survive longer, and then hopefully customers will come back. Money comes in, and then you can rehire some of these guys. You convert them into a consultant mode where they work for half the time, but at 1/3 the salary. But see, you still need basic survival money, right?
Sure.
It may be 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs what you are earning per month, but now you need 1.5 lakh to survive, and you need your insurance and this and that taken care of. So that's a way to handle this. I know founders who do it, and it's not easy decision. But if you don't do it, then you're not a nice person. Because if you knew this was going to happen, and you know that there was no way out for next 3 months, don't kill your people because they stood by you. And employees are employees. No? I mean, I've seen more downturns than anyone else. You all will not even remember that if you remember when that the New York situation happened. I was there.
2001. I saw it as well.
Yeah, you saw it.
2001,
So I was
2008,
in the
9.
hotel industry and all that.
Oh
that time.
my God, yeah.
The hotels just collapsed. I mean, there was no rooms, there was no one coming for bookings, there was no restaurants, no one is coming, and zero revenue. I'm not joking. Zero revenue. Then how do you manage the situation? I mean, I know what happened to my friends in the hotel business and retail business during COVID. They went through hell all over the world. Not
all
just
over the
about-
world, not just here.
And somehow they, and these are great people, right? I mean, they're such amazing skills. They're so good, but circumstances. So I don't know if it makes Pushkar. I know we're talking a little bit of
No, I think it
ethical
makes a
and,
lot of sense.
and humanity, whatever. it
And
is.
what you also said, because see, there's a right way to do a business, and not everything you do is good for the business, right? Because you're also responsible for the people you hire.
Yes.
So I read a very interesting book, and like you said, if you leave, sometimes firing employees is inevitable. You have to let people go, right? But if you do it in the right fashion, you also create a lot of goodwill. And then those guys would also want to work with you in the future. They will spread the good word. I read a very interesting book about Netflix. It's called That Will Never Work. So at one time, because they had grown too quickly and the venture funding was tight, they had to let go of a lot of people. But they did it in such a nice fashion that one of the coders, who was actually a really good coder, and his role just had got redundant. When he was leaving, he said, "It's fine, I'm leaving, but crush Blockbuster." So he was
Wow.
still a Netflix guy. He still wanted Netflix to do end.
He was still a raving fan.
Yeah. He said,
Awesome.
"It's fine, I'll find another job.
Yeah.
But you guys go and
Correct,
make a big
correct.
company.
Yeah,
And if you do it in the right way, that's the kind of goodwill you create."
Yeah,
So like you said, it's very important.
that's brilliant, because there are some companies which have amazing alumni networks across the world. I mean, like, we look at the strategy consulting companies, the BCG alumni network, McKinsey, all of these guys are fantastic alumni networks across the world. And there's
And
like,
founders have to walk the talk. They have to do a little bit of sacrifice during these tough times, visibly.
Exactly.
Because that the investors and customers
So you
and
can't say-
factually
drive a
factually
Ferrari.
and visibly. Not just visibly, but factually and visibly. Yeah, I want to walk the talk.
No, but I think visibly is very important also, because
Yeah,
you can't
yes,
say
yes.
my company, I'm finding people and will continue to drive a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Flamboyant should be invisible, but
Yeah.
but empathy and all these things should be very much demonstrated and out in the
I
market.
agree.
Yeah. Good.
But I think one good thing is that at least over the last 5 years with COVID and post-COVID, I think we've got a lot of references of what shouldn't happen or how you shouldn't behave, right? So I think PR as a profession is a good, interesting space to think about it, right? In terms of, because end of the day, I think there's two things. One is founders, being a founder and investing in founders tend to be very embedded to their selves, and they treat their companies as part of their selves. That split of your personality and your company's personality is very important.
Correct.
That's one. Second is you just need to know when to let go.
Yeah.
Sometimes things get bad, and we can't.
And your ego might get hurt, but
Your ego might get hurt, but
but you got to do it.
The things can get bad, and you have to fire or transition off 50 people, 100 people. Ensure they still have a positive impression about you. I think It's empathy and it's humanity.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all running a very tight rat
India
race.
doesn't have a social net. So when the downturn happens, it can be very gruesome.
Yeah.
Very
families.
difficult for some people.
Yes. So, I mean, when you do something for people, it will be remembered.
But do you think we are a low empathy culture?
I think we're getting better. See, I mean, let's imagine that today you have to also look after, yourself, your family, your near and dear ones. You have obligations, so it's different. You have to look. I mean, it's a tough world, right? But if you're in a position of privilege and responsibility, having a little bit of empathy and doing a little bit here and there, creating some safety nets makes a big difference, very big difference. And I think a lot of, we're talking about diversity and inclusion in boards now.
Yeah.
We're talking about, looking at sustainability as a mandate. And a lot of the new age VCs that are coming from outside also,
Impact,
they say we want to see
sustainability,
this in action and as a policy.
Yeah,
and we're
not
going
lip
to,
service.
and we're going to review this. If we don't see this happening, the next round of funds, etc., will slow down. So why not? I think it's a good thing. The cost of compliance, maybe you will say will go up, but so what? Ultimately, you got to be human. You have to be human. And it helps you. It's not just for the sake of saying it or doing it. Yeah.
So do you think over a period of time, the VC model that we've seen in India will change from big funds, smaller funds, a lot of LP capital from the US? We've seen a lot of family office
I was
participation in
about to
India
say
as
that
well.
the family offices are really doing good work. I mean, they understand certain sectors really well. They're putting in money and they're patient. They're smart money and they're patient money. So that more and more come in, I think, the next generation. So if you see, it is not the 1-2 generations back. They made their money. They're much more older.
And they have cash flow coming in every year.
That's coming in. They're willing to give this back. They're willing to support startups. They're willing to open doors for them. They're willing to give some mentoring and advice, etc. I think that's a phenomenal thing that's happening. It's still less, Sandeep, honestly. Pushkar, it is less. But I think I mean, we meet a lot of people. And I meet my friends who are much more well off or whatever. I encourage them because your wealth of experience, your wisdom, the networks that you have, not just money. Right? Why don't you just come in and spend some time in some of these round tables?
Wealth of networks, and they've got existing businesses, multiple businesses in multiple areas.
Yes.
They actually can
They
help,
actually understand markets well. They understand customers very well. They understand team.
You understand?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a request that they don't have to. It's their personal choice. But we should encourage some of them to come out and give a little bit of nuggets of wisdom, not gyan. It's very practical, very actionable insights. And they also like doing
Yeah,
it. They
no,
like
but that's great because post 2012 to right now, I think the amount of money coming from India into VC funds has actually increased quite a
yes,
bit.
yes, yes.
Especially last 2-3 years.
Correct. And IPOs are coming in.
There's a lot of
you know,
domestic capital coming in.
lot of domestic
And
capital.
that's where you see all these large Indian internet companies that were domiciled outside India, they're coming back to India because of public markets.
And they're willing to pay that, the tax.
The tax.
They're willing to
Yeah.
pay the
And you're
tax.
seeing a lot of acquisitions happening from
Yeah.
within the Indian
Right,
public.
right.
That is, I think, also a trend. I think going forward in the next 5-10 years,
Lot of
you will have a
acquisitions.
lot of
Yeah,
Indian corporate companies traditionally looking at acquiring.
Yes, yes.
Like the buy versus build versus invest early and then acquire later.
So Indian companies are acquiring, that the consulting companies, the big guys, KPMGs of the world are acquiring.
Yeah.
And also India has opened itself, right? So you have people from Japan, from Korea, from Europe, and of course USA, Australia. The trade delegations that come, they want to set up shop here.
Yeah.
They're looking at JVs.
Yeah.
They're looking to hire, local people. So I think all of this is a cascading effect. The collision that happens is that a very good technology that will come from other countries also.
Yeah.
When people start learning it and understanding it and implementing it, the country will benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, we have problems. Okay, I mean,
We obviously have problems, and that's we have problems, and I think that is not going to go away. But I think some of it is going to get better. But
Yes.
just like you said, I think we have that incredible 1.4, 1.5 billion user base across different cohorts, and you have tech,
Correct,
B2B, B2C.
Yes, yes.
Everybody from the world can actually use this as a giant playground. We're not just a back of the beyond coding IT place anymore,
it's
right?
changed. It's changed now.
We're like an idea place, and we
we're
can
right,
build
yeah,
and scale
yeah.
from here.
So it's not-
This is brilliant. I mean, it was very insightful. Thanks a ton to our space sponsors, Ravindra and the excellent team at
the Bhive guys, awesome folks.
Obviously,
Excellent place.
fantastic building, and all of you guys should come here and check it out.
Yes, yes,
But
very nice.
Thank you
Even
so
the
much.
Church Street place is
Oh yeah,
very
Church Street is
beautiful,
very nice. I
very
was there for an
beautiful.
event
Yes.
quite recently as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Sir, namaskar. Take care, guys.